What's up, everybody? Back again with the fantasy scene. Myself, my good friend Ross. Ross, how's everything? How we doing today?
We're doing really nice. End of the weekend, we're all happy.
Yes, it's good. And we're another weekend closer to opening day. Can't wait. Our fantasy draft live on the air coming up March 22nd. Going to be a good time. Definitely going to be something for everyone to watch. All right, Ross. Last show we went through the ringer of the AL East and the first baseman. Today we travel across the bridge to meet our good friend the Mets and the NL East, and we're going to discuss the best second baseman who plays in the Bronx and everybody else that goes along with them on that way. So Ross, we're going to start off with you, the man of tears, second base. Is there anyone else you put in the same level as DJ LeMahieu?
Definitely. You can put Muncy in there. Muncy, I know he's a first baseman.
This guy Muncy.
Listen, he qualifies at second base. He's a beast. Not only does he qualify at second base, he qualifies at third base. So he's first, second, and third. He's going to hit, I can say, just as good as LeMahieu, and they can go back and forth. So, to me, Muncy has to be up there with LeMahieu, even though I love LeMahieu. But with him,
all right, fair enough.
Joey, just a little bit under, still on my first tier, just a little bit lower, will be Ketel Marte. And then the bottom of it is Gleyber Torres. That could be,
okay. So,
but I like Gleyber Torres. He's not a 3-homer guy. We spoke about this in the other episode. The guy can hit 35 home runs. He can hit the average. If he's not in your first tier, maybe I'm a Yankee fan. I'm putting him a little higher. You have to put him on the upper second tier. Won't you agree?
No, I don't know who the Facebook user. I don't know who the Facebook user. I'm out in the Lincoln Tunnel. I just got out of work, but we are dedicated here at Fired Up Sports, so I made sure to still do it. I'm parked in the parking lot right now doing the show. I wouldn't miss it. For me, Ross, I have a three-headed monster at the top. For me, it's DJ LeMahieu 1, and then 1A, 1B for me is going to be Ketel Marte. I agree. I think this kid is really coming on strong, and someone who probably doesn't get as much love as he probably should because he plays on the West Coast. He's one of those guys that fantasy players know of, but the casual fan won't. The other one for me, I don't have Gleyber. You're going to see my list. I don't have Gleyber listed at second base because, again, I went strictly by position, and for me, I have him listed at shortstop. But for me, number 3, I have Ozzie Albies. I think those 3 are your core top tier second baseman. Can people switch? Yeah, I just think that I like Ozzie Albies. Ozzie Albies, Ketel Marte, DJ LeMahieu. But listen, again, I know you have a love obsession with that.
I like Albies, Joe, but he's grouped up in my second tier. Iora, Merrifield, Lowe, Altuve, Albies, Biggio. I just think they're all interchangeable.
Wow.
For me personally, I don't think Albies could be. Anybody could be anyone, but I just don't think he's Muncy or LeMahieu. What are you waving at? There's flies in your car? Joe, we lost you. Hopefully, we didn't lose everyone. All right, guys. I hope everyone is still on. Not sure.
If anyone's listening, I'm back. Sorry about that. So for me, like I said, I you know what? It's weird, Ross, because certain guys. Again, for me, Albies falls in the same category as Gleyber does for you. That is he going to perform the same way he did last year? No, I don't think he is. You know,
What has Albies done that makes him such a potential star?
well, I'm going to put the numbers for you right now. I mean, listen, I think for it to be, you know, you're a second baseman, for him to have the numbers. Here, I'm
Remember,
pulling it
Joe,
up right now.
second
Okay,
base is a
so
nice deep category here of players. And there's a lot of players at
100
second
number Ross.
base.
I mean,
There's a lot of players that qualify at different
a
positions.
hundred. Absolutely, but here's my thing. Ozzy Albies, the last 3 seasons, okay? Last year, again, shortened season, bats 271, 6 home runs, 19 RBIs, 3 stolen bases. But now
No,
go to the previous 2 seasons. 295, 24 home runs, 261, 24 home runs. You know, the guy strikes out a lot, you know, 116 and 112 bat, you know, but again, that's he's there, man.
he's somewhere, but I don't know if he's
For me, I think. Listen, you know what? He's got to be somewhere. But for me, I feel like there's value there. I really
yes,
do.
listen,
I feel like there's value with Albies.
there's value if you don't classify him as picking him in the second round, third round. Then there's value. If you're picking him in the second round, I don't see the value. That's me. I mean, everyone has to go with it's fantasy. Fantasy is all about what you think a player is going to do.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not. Right, I'm not putting him as a second or third round player. But if I could get Ozzy Albies fourth, fifth round, I'm jumping all over that. You know, honestly, look at that, Ross. Look at the lineup he's in. He's batting surrounded with Freeman, Acuna. You know,
Ozuna, he's got a great lineup.
Marcell Ozuna.
There's Riley.
He's got a great lineup surrounding him.
Yeah, it's a good team. It's a good team. I'm not debating.
You know, so a guy like him, yeah.
Remember, he's in my second tier, so I'm not saying he sucks. I'm just saying he's not LeMahieu or Muncy.
No, the only person.
Let's put Muncy in there. Remember?
No, listen. But see, I don't have. You know, nobody is Muncy to you, Ross. Nobody is Muncy to you. One guy I'm actually surprised to not hear on your list that I have on mine was Moustakas. So now here's someone who plays. He qualifies strictly at second base right now. He actually might have picked up outfield last year. I'm not 100%, but he's going to be the primary second baseman for the Reds. And he honestly, you know, if anyone watched the Sparsh and Scro show, I believe it was last week, and we discussed the NL Central, and I actually picked the Reds to win the Central based on them not having a fire sale by the time July comes. Fire sale comes, you know, that prediction goes out the window. So this guy, Moustakas is a guy who, in Cincinnati, it's a bandbox. You know, let's call it what it is. Everyone hits home runs in Cincinnati, okay? But he could also be a prime candidate to be traded to a contender if they do decide to sell off their pieces. You know, so this is a guy that, like, you could probably get, I'd project probably 8th or 9th rounds, roughly, and still think it would be a steal. For me, it would be an absolute steal if you can get a guy like Moustakas 8th, 9th, even 10th round, because you have to count him for about 30 home runs, and at second base, like we've discussed, 30 home runs is massive.
If he hits for average, I have Moustakas as players to watch. That's where
okay.
It's not that there's certain players that you have to list higher if you like them more. I just like Albies or Biggio or Altuve or Lowe or Merrifield or Hiora better than Moustakas. I'm going to draft them before, especially a guy like Merrifield, who has double positions, Muncy, Marte, LeMahieu, even Gleyber Torres is second and short. These guys all play multiple positions. That's what I like. I like guys that can play multiple positions, especially in the
absolutely.
middle.
And one guy that you mentioned, Oh, of course. And one of the guys that you mentioned specifically is someone that I have it's on my sleeper list is Hewer. I'm never gonna get this guy's name right, but they actually had him playing in the outfield the other day for Milwaukee. I don't know if they're trying to experiment with him, but I doubt now with the signing of Jackie Bradley Jr. to Milwaukee is he going to see anywhere near. All right, so this so Ross, you got a compliment over here. I don't know who the Facebook user is, guys. If you are commenting on Facebook, please make sure to add StreamYard so we can see who it is. But they said I don't know who this Ross Anello guy is. Become like an MLB analyst. Little do they know. Little do they know. But so I mean, so Ross, let's talk about. So I mean, we all have our top tier guys, right? We all have our guys that we know are going to perform. Who's somebody that you have Moustakas for arguments on a player to watch? I have him listed on my list, but who's someone that you have that may be getting kind of overlooked, overshadowed a little bit?
Tommy Edman, St. Louis. If you can get him in the later rounds, he's nice.
Okay.
He qualifies at second, third, short, and outfield. That's a nice player who's going to bat leadoff and a St. Louis lineup that's nice. So that's the guy that could be a sleeper. Another guy would be, obviously, Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil's a nice little player there. I think he has the capability. He's a 300 hitter. He can hit you. He can hit you home runs. That's a nice player to watch. My third guy that I say all depends on how much playing time he gets is Chris Taylor. They like him. He's a utility player. He qualifies at second, short, and outfield. He's going to get a lot of playing time. A guy like that, he could be starting at third base. Not all the time, but they're going to want to keep Turner fresh. So there's a lot of positions for him to play. I think he's getting regular at-bats. So if he does, I think at the second base position, that's another player to watch. But Chris Taylor is more down the line. Edman and McNeil, I like. Those are my good sleeper picks.
All right. I agree with you on McNeil. I think McNeil's one of those, and we figured it out. It's our friend Nico Rivera who finally decided to join this page. Welcome, Nico. Welcome to the dark side. So for me, a couple of guys. I like Edman. I think he's good value. Like you said, in the later rounds. Another guy that for me is I'm looking at is going to be Cronenworth out of San Diego. Okay, I think he started to come on late last year. We really don't know what he's going to be, but I feel like a guy like him, you may be able to steal him in the later rounds. Again, another guy in a super solid lineup. He's going to see pitches. Let's just call it what it is. When you're pitching that San Diego lineup, you're not gonna you're not exactly gonna start attacking a Tatis, a Machado, a Hosmer, a Will Myers. You're not gonna attack those guys. You're gonna go after the other guys, and an Austin Nola. You're gonna go after the guys that aren't as proven, and usually that's when a breakout season for me, I feel happens, because now these guys are gonna attack. Ray, I do. He did mention that Kim is going to play. I get it. I still think this kid Cronenworth is worth a shot. He did perform last year. He came up in big spots sometimes. So I feel like he may be someone to target. Again, later rounds. I'm not talking first 10, 12 rounds. Those are your starters. When you're looking for depth and whatnot, again, a guy like, for me, I'm going to go after a guy like Cronenworth. I feel like he is going to be someone who you could really go for. For me, on the bust side, I'll start off the busts. For me, it's Jose Altuve. I don't think this guy deserves to be going where he's going. I just don't. I know you're going to say, I don't put any credence into last year, Ross. I know what you're going to say already. I don't care. Till these Houston Astro cheaters can prove to me that they can hit without garbage cans, they're on a bus list for me.
Listen, Joe, the Altuve is a perennial 300-plus hitter. A guy like that who's hit 25, 30 home runs, he does not forget how to hit. He's not a power hitter who
He was
lost his
cheating.
Forget about the cheating thing.
He was
That's
cheating,
nonsense.
Ross.
That cheating thing is nonsense. They haven't been cheating their entire career.
It's proven.
They haven't cheated their entire career. Altuve is a proven hitter. The guy can hit. To say that he's not going to do it, it's just silly. I mean, I understand there's a hatred, but you can't bring emotions into fantasy. You can't bring love and you can't bring hate. Numbers are numbers.
I know that.
Even though someone
I know that, but still.
someone said that Matt is racist. There's actually a woman who went on Fox and said Matt is racist. In fantasy, Matt is not racist. Math is your law. You have to follow the numbers. You can't go by love and hate. That's what makes you pay more for a player when you love the guy, and that's what makes you forget about a player who's going to be good down the line. You just got to go with who liking a player makes you draft them around early. You don't draft a guy 4 rounds early just because you like him. You understand what I'm trying to say? Joe?
No, 100%. I get it. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The second base position this year, I'll be honest with you, is probably the weakest position in baseball. I think for me, I feel like there, besides those top, your top 2 tiers, there's a significant drop off after you get, like for me, after I get through, number 10, there's a significant drop off. There is not a lot of, one guy, like, I just feel like there's such a drop off. Every year there's that one position that there's just not a lot of depth. And I feel like because of that, second baseman, particularly DJ, Marte, or someone like a Muncy who qualifies at that second base, I feel like they're going to get overpriced this year, or they're going to be bid on a lot higher because there's not that depth behind them. Like I said, there's a lot of maybes. Like I just went through, as you were talking, I'm looking through, every other team. It's all question marks at second base. It's all question marks.
But that's what makes your middle positions difficult, only because you don't want to overpay when everyone's drafting, but yet you want a solid second baseman. That's why I really don't invest a lot into my middle positions unless I get a steal. If I'm looking at a player and the 3rd round, 4th round pops up and that player is there, then I'm going to take him. But I'm not going to go and say, this guy's in my second tier. All the second basemen are gone. I got to waste a second round pick, a 3rd round pick on him. I'm not doing that. So I'll just sit back and just go for my guys that I feel can produce later on, and I'll take a shot on those guys. But meanwhile, you have to pick your best player available when you're drafting, especially when you're doing a snake draft. You have to draft best player available. That's what gives you a good team. You can't look at scarcity until later in the draft. In your first 5 rounds,
I agree.
rounds has to be your best player. All your 1-tier guys have to be off the list before you pick another player on your 2nd tier. I don't care about.
I get it. It makes. So when I say that, my comment about them going a little bit more than whatever, I'm gearing that that comment more towards an auction league where you're bidding on those players. Again, you can use the same logic and strategy in terms of not paying the extra and kind of sitting back and trying to see perhaps possibly stealing somebody. Maybe that that 11th through 15th ranked player. When everyone else has their second baseman. But again, shortstop, and we're going to get into that on the next show. Shortstop is deep. Shortstop's really deep. So
you have nice players.
To
go back, Joe. To go back to your auction.
But
so where you're bidding on players. So now in that kind of situation, LeMahieu, just to give you an example of one of my leagues, LeMahieu's going for $65. I'm not paying $65 for LeMahieu. I love him. I think he's going to have a great year. I love Muncy. I'm not paying $60 for Muncy. But I will pay $5 for Edmund and but on him. You understand? If a steal comes where I
get it, but isn't the versatility
and $18, $20, I'm gonna do that. You understand what I'm trying to say? So in essence, even though I love Muncy or LeMahieu, it's not really adequate money spending for you to overpay just because that's the player you like. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I get that. For me, I absolutely understand that. For me, I feel that sometimes, a guy like LeMahieu, a guy who qualifies, like a guy like Whit Merrifield, guys like that qualify at multiple positions. I feel that sometimes, maybe I'm more, to spend that little bit extra on them because of their versatility. Not because, they qualify at second base, but because someone like LeMahieu, I could play him at first, second, third, even short sometimes, depending on the league and depending on what his eligibility is. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not paying $65 for LeMahieu, but if I could get LeMahieu for $35, $40, I'll take him.
You're not getting LeMahieu for $35, $40. You're not getting him. He's the top second baseman. You're not getting him for $35, $40. It's automatic. And you're in New York. So LeMahieu's not going for $35, $40. There's no way.
I said if I could. I mean, listen, a boy can dream. A boy can dream. Well, let's transition into our projections for the division. Last episode, we did the AL East. We ran through the gamut of that. We spent about 30 seconds discussing the Baltimore Orioles. This is going to be a little bit different, Ross. This is, for me, the best division in baseball. Okay?
Yes.
It pains me to say it. But this is a loaded lineup. This is a division where, realistically, it's probably a three-team race. But 100%. Would you be really surprised if a team just came on? Listen, the Marlins are not someone to scoff at. The Marlins played incredibly well last year. They're a year older. They've made some changes. Do I think they're going to win the division? No. But I still think they're going to be very competitive. I think they're well coached.
I don't think they're going to be a top three team like Atlanta, Washington, or the Mets. Those three teams are going to fight for the division all year.
Listen,
I don't see Philly and Miami there. I mean, they can be competitive, but I just can't see them fighting for the division.
Philly, I think their biggest mistake was this. I think that the Real Muto signing was a panic move after the Mets signed Lindor, because they felt that they were the only team in the division that didn't really make a move. So I think the Real Muto trade was pure panic, and I think that money could have been better spent on pitching. I think pitching is a huge crutch right now for the Philadelphia Phillies. I think that is what's taking them away from being in the top tier of the NL East. But let's start. Let's start with the Marlins.
Why don't we start with?
Let's start with Philly. Let's start with Philly.
We're there already.
All right, let's start with Philly.
Besides Real Muto and Harper, I just don't see anyone that's really good there. Listen, Didi could be really good, but he's got a lot of health.
He's consistent.
He's got a lot of health questions. He gets injured every single year. That's the kind of player I like to stay away from. Even though I like him, I think he's going to have a good year if he stays healthy. But in leagues that have a big bench, that's someone that you can draft because you can put him on your bench and then you can plug him in. But a roto league that has no bench, like we've had before, Joe, you can't really. It hurts you to draft Didi. So, I mean, I like him. I think he can, if he's healthy the full year, he could be a top shortstop for sure.
Absolutely. Billy just said it's a three-team race. Comes down to pitching. Mets have the best rotation.
I
Honestly,
don't think the
listen, the
Mets have
Mets
the
have
best
a very
rotation,
good
Joey.
rotation. And again, I know. Listen, listen. I'm not. Listen. Please do not take this as me being a Mets hater. The Mets being relevant is great for baseball. It's great for the Mets fans. I think it's great. However, I don't think they have the best rotation. There's no way you could tell me Jacob DeGrom, okay, with a cast of characters behind him, okay. You have, a Stroman, Syndergaard. You're going to get him back probably July, August. All of this stuff. You don't have a true number two, okay. You cannot tell
Carrasco.
me that they are a better rotation than the Nationals. Which shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Carrasco's not a top tier pitcher. Let's call
Yes,
it
he.
Cookie Carrasco's not
Yes,
top
he
tier.
is, Joe.
He
Joe,
had a
yes, he
he
is.
had a great year last year.
I'm not
He's
talking about
not
last
Ross.
year.
Come
Look
on.
at his
Look,
numbers.
don't,
All right,
let
Carrasco's.
me. Do I have to pull up Cookie Carrasco's numbers?
Joey,
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna
pull
be
up Cookie
surprised.
Carrasco's numbers right now. Now you're
You'll be surprised. Carrasco's an ace, and he's not going to be pitching in the ace position. The
He's
Grom's
not
going
an
to be
ace.
number one. Well, look at his numbers, and you tell me if he's not an ace. The guy can strike out 220
I'm
plays.
pulling up his numbers right now.
Yeah, I have the numbers already.
I'm pulling up his numbers right now. Listen, I have his numbers. He's a career 3.77 ERA. He
That's
averages 200 strikeouts a year.
Oh, that's nothing. Go ahead.
So listen,
Look at his whip.
I'm not.
The guy's
I'm
a
not
real
to say that it's
pitcher.
not to say that, but he's never Ross. He's never healthy. He hasn't pitched. He hasn't pitched. What?
That's a
the
different.
most he's ever pitched
Now
is
you're
18
going to the
games.
other side.
Last
That's
year,
a different story. Health is a different story. Talking about
he's
pitching
never
skills,
healthy.
but he
Yeah.
has pitching skills.
No, but Ross, I'm going to ask you a question. You want to discuss a rotation, okay? You have Scherzer, Strasburg, Corbin, John Lester. That's a hell of a four.
Yeah. Washington has the best three pitchers in baseball. That's 100%. That's why I said Mets don't have the best
If they're healthy. If they're healthy.
Washington has the best
Yeah,
rotation.
no, it's not. I'm not trying to be a hater.
No,
Yeah,
that goes
absolutely. I'm not trying to be a hater, but
But the Mets' top three are not bad. Stroman's a solid pitcher, and Carrasco could be an ace if he's healthy. Obviously, we love DeGrom. I mean, DeGrom's a beast. But the Mets do have a great. They have a really good, solid pitching staff. But the Mets hitting, I think, is better than Washington's. That's for sure.
Ross, I'm sorry, I'm going to disagree there too. I think position for position. If we compared position to position, I think that the Nationals beat the Mets in all majority, not all, majority.
Give me Washington's best three hitters: Turner, Soto, Schwarber. Right?
I wouldn't put Schwarber there.
Who are you
I'll
going
tell
to
you.
put
Hold on.
the best player? Number
Hold
three.
on. Hold on.
Take
Hold
your
on.
time.
Hold on. Soto, Turner, Josh Bell.
Josh Bell is he's not a stud. I like Josh Bell a lot, but he's definitely gonna get in a sort of a platoon with Zimmerman. Zimmerman's taking bats away from him. He's not the defensive player Zimmerman is, and he's not really that great against
Zimmerman.
Bell's the starter.
Zimmerman's 112 years old.
Regardless, Bell, I just don't. For me, again.
Okay, so we have those three. So now, who are your three best? You're gonna take Lindor. You're gonna take Conforto, and who's your third?
Alonso.
You're gonna put Alonso. Stop! Stop! Alonso, stop!
I'm being a Met hater.
Please.
This Met fan.
No, Alonso is a lot. Alonso might be the most overrated human being in history.
Oh, the kid could.
He had. Let me tell you something. If it was, listen, He pulled on everyone's heartstrings that one season when he went and broke Judge's record, and he started pounding on his chest like a polar bear, and then he went into hibernation last year. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat.
It's a mini year last year, Joe. You can't really.
I don't care. He's only got 2 seasons. He's only got 2 seasons.
Well, listen to me. Alonso's
I can't. Don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on these Mets. All right. So, speaking of the Mets, let's talk about these mutts. Okay. One guy I think that unfortunately for him, and I mentioned it off the air, I think that the Mets, again, the Mets had a solid offseason. Let's call it what it is. Adding, Lindor, adding Carrasco, small little pieces. I still think they're pitcher away. I still think that David Peterson is. You don't know what you're getting from him, and you don't know what you're getting from Syndergaard. I think Tremay was a good addition because Edwin Diaz is awful. I don't think he can handle New York, which is okay. There's a lot of players that do really good elsewhere, and when they come here, they suck. Edwin Diaz.
The guy who I think, Joe, is overrated on the Mets.
For me, I think the guy that's overlooked right now.
I can't really hear, but I'm going to say the guy that I think that's overrated is Dominic Smith. That's the guy that I think is overrated.
And it's like that was the guy I was just leading up to saying that I think.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I couldn't hear you. I'm glad I couldn't hear you.
So the Mets, I feel that they planned their whole offseason around there being a DH. I think they planned their whole season around being a DH because defensively they are much better with Nimmo, Conforto, and either Almora or whatever in center, in the outfield, and Dom playing first base with Alonso being the DH. I think the no DH is actually going to hurt the Mets, especially defensively, because now they're going to play Dom Smith. Dom Smith is for me, I think he's a great. Offensive player, and I think that with Almora, I see Nimmo being Brandon Nimmo being the odd man out. I think he's going to be the odd man out in the outfield. I think he's going to be the one coming off the bench, or they're going to be a platoon of the two because I believe I think they're righty lefty. So whatever it is, but I think that Dom Smith is the one that's going to see the most fallback or regression because of the no DH.
But the only thing with Dom Smith, Joe, is that he has no track record. He's only played 89 games in one season. That's the most games he's played. You can't tell me Dominic Smith has a track record. You really don't know what this kid's going to do.
I mean, Ross,
I hope he's a stud. See the good, but he has no track record. You can't tell me I know he's going to be a stud. So if that's your judgment call, if that's your sleeper in essence, okay. In New York, he's not a sleeper. He's going to be too expensive. Me personally, I'm not telling anybody what to do, but I wouldn't spend a large pick or a good amount of money on him. I wouldn't. That's just me. Obviously, other people have different opinions. I hope you're not looking at freaking porn.
I get it. No. We're checking the comments. We're checking the comments. Never. You know what? My wife is watching this. So for me, like I said, for me, I don't. The Mets, they added a lot of depth. I think that's the one thing that you could say that this year is going to be different for the Mets is that they have depth on the hitting side. I still think, like I said, I think their pitching, more so their bullpen, is filled with question marks. You don't know what you're getting from Betances. Thank God he's gone. You definitely know you're not getting anything from Jeurys Familia. You know what I'm saying? Teams actually look forward to when Familia comes in the game. Loop,
Like
he was pretty
Betances.
solid with Tampa Bay last year. Loop, yeah, Betances, Betances, yeah. Hey, John, what am I, chopped meat, chopped liver over
He's
here?
got a track record, Joe.
This guy, John,
I like the track record.
nice job, Ross. I'm like I'm chopped meat over here. But so who's someone on the Mets, Ross, that you feel can kind of float under the radar?
A guy like J.D. Davis. He should be playing third base. He's got potential to hit. He's not a bad guy. I mean, he can hit 300. He's hit over 20 home runs. That's a guy that I think that's flying over the radar. Nobody's really looking at him too much, and you can get him later on at a good price.
Okay, fair enough. So let's move on to the Marlins. Okay, so Marlins last year. Listen, we didn't cover them. Yeah, the Marlins last year made it to the playoffs. They were a sneaky good team again. 60-game season. I get it. Short season. I got it. Again, short season. Understood.
They're not going to do it for a full season.
Listen, you never know. You know, they got Donnie Baseball.
I like
anything that Donnie Baseball
pitching is
anything Donnie Baseball touches is great. I think they have. Listen to me. Listen to me. You want to talk about someone to target? Again, I think last year elevated his value, but this kid is a real deal. Sixto Sanchez. The kid is an absolute beast. He was a key piece in that Real Muto deal with Philly, and I think he's going to end the season as the ace. Right now, I know they got Alcantara and Pablo Lopez, but I think Sixto Sanchez ends the year as the ace. The kid's stuff is electric.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying their pitching's good. I mean, on the hitting side, I don't see anyone really. I mean, the only guy that I like that could be your sleeper on Miami, he could be a guy overlooked that they found, is a guy like Duval. Duval he's hit 30 plus home runs before. Yeah. So you go into a position, Joe, that has no pressure. Yeah, you go into a position that you go into here right now, no pressure. You're going to go in there, for the love of baseball, and have a good time. That's where a guy like Duval can be an excellent sleeper. He can put up big numbers there.
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, Duval coming from Cincinnati, he hits bombs. The kid hits bombs. I think last year he might have been in Atlanta as well. I mean, for someone, another guy that I like on this team, later round, I'm talking like 15 or later, for me is Brian Anderson. Solid third baseman. I think he's going to produce well. I think he's slotted to be the third or fourth in the lineup right now. But I again, not a huge. We only can base it off of last year. But last year, 11 home runs in 200 at bats. That's not bad. Translate that over a full season. You're going to get 22, 23 home runs. From if he gets 500 at bats. Whatever. So again, there's not a lot for me. I think, like you said, with the Marlins, I think more of the guys that you want to target are more on the pitching side, not so much the hitting side. But they have, like they said, you have your Starling Martes, you have your Jesus Aguilar, you have solid guys, but no one like, oh my God, I have to get this guy. They're a team that you fill your roster with.
Marlins are a scrappy team, Joe.
Yeah, 100%.
They're a scrappy
100%.
They can hit. I mean, listen, if you can get a guy like Aguilar down the line somewhere in the 12th round, 11th, 12th round, that's a good pick right there. He's a solid hitter. He's going to hit you home runs. Absolutely.
No, absolutely. But let's move on to Washington. We're going to go to our nation's capital. I mean, listen, this team I have projected as number 2. When we did our projections on the Smarsh and Scroll show, which is coming up next on the Fired Up Sports Network, they got a good show tonight. They're going rogue tonight. These guys are I think they might be going off the handle a little bit later on the next show. But there's my boy, who my friend Ray disagrees with me. Juan Soto for me is top 3 in the league. For me, he's the best outfielder, again, based on the league. But someone for me, again, that maybe not be getting the love that he should, and you kind of alluded to it before. For me, a guy I'm targeting on this team is Josh Bell. I think he's going to have a resurgence, even if Zimmerman does cut into his time. I think that Josh Bell is one of those guys that they're going to find a position to play, because I'll be honest with you, I would not be surprised Josh Bell ends up playing third base, because Carter Kieboom has not produced anywhere near what his potential has been. So I would not be surprised if Zimmerman and Bell are both hitting and both playing well. Why not slide one over to third base?
Well, the thing with Kieboom last year was the catcher. He was the big prospect. He did nothing. The other Kieboom that came up right now, Carter Kieboom, he's his brother. He hasn't done anything yet. No one knows what this kid could do. Now, I'm not saying I don't like Bell. Bell has
played 33 games last year.
Who? Kieboom, a catcher. Remember, there's two of them.
Kieboom, he played 11. He played 11 games.
There's two Kiebooms.
One.
No, there's two. There's two brothers. One retired. One Kieboom retired from last year. The one retired and the other one's playing. But like I'm saying about Bell, it's not that I don't like him. He has potential to hit 35, 40 home runs. He can hit you 35, 40 home runs. I don't know if he has but that much. I just don't know if he could do it. I just don't know if he's gonna do it. That's the only thing. But 2 years ago, no one thought he was gonna do it, and he was a beast. So he could, it's all what you feel he's gonna do.
Understood. But if like I said, for me,
if you're gonna take a chance on someone to hit your home runs and hit for and hit good, go with Schwarber. I think Schwarber's going to have a nice year in Washington in that lineup.
I mean, it can't. Listen, he's. I believe they got him batting 5th. I think he's actually batting behind. Right now, from what I saw, I believe it's Trey Turner. I want to say Robles, Soto, Bell, Schwarber. I think those are the 5. I think that was the projected lineup. And listen, Schwarber's one of those guys.
I'm a fan of Robles, Joe. That's the guy.
No, I'm not. Neither am I. I think he's another guy that. And I'm just plugging in my charger. Give me 1 second, guys. I feel like Robles is another guy that he came up with like so much anticipation and build up and just never lived up to it. Schwarber's, listen, Schwarber, we've been doing leagues a long time. Schwarber, you know who he reminds me of? He's a modern day Adam Dunn.
Okay. But throughout the years, Adam Dunn always produced. The guy hit you 40 home runs. I don't care if he hit 200. I drafted him every year, and he did well for me.
100%. Adam Dunn in this climate, in this day and age, would be a $300 million player.
So
he played in the wrong era. He just played in the wrong era. That's all it is. But let's move on to what I think we both agree is the best team in the NL East. Okay, the Atlanta Braves.
Before we move over, Joe,
this team is
Washington's pitching.
Yeah,
I think Lester is a name, and he's overpriced. He's lost a step. He's coming off. He's have thyroid surgery. If you're gonna ask me who do I want to stay away from, I would let somebody else draft Lester. Now we can move on. That's my opinion.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So let's go into Atlanta. You know, obviously you have all the names. You have the reigning MVP and Freddie Freeman. You know, you have Marcell Ozuna. You have Ronald Acuna. You know, it's a stacked lineup. Let's call it what it is. Ozzy Albies, as we mentioned. One guy that I'm looking forward to really seeing get a complete run through is Austin Riley. This kid came up super touted. He at what point I think he was top 5 prospects for the Atlanta Braves. I think Riley is someone that, again, he's going to be hitting later in that lineup, and I think is going to see pitches. You know, someone's going to hit in the lineup, right? So, I mean, the pitcher's got to pitch to somebody. So if I'm a pitcher and I'm facing the Braves and I'm looking at Ozuna, Freeman, Acuna, Travis d'Arnaud, and then here comes Austin Riley, yeah, I'm gonna throw this kid a couple fastballs. Yeah, I'm gonna put him down the pipe.
I like Riley. The thing is this.
Yeah,
last year he played 50 games, hit 8 home runs. The year before he played 80 games and hit 18 home runs. The kid could hit. Now, can he do it over a long period of time? Can he do it for the full season? He doesn't hit for average. That's generally a sign where
he's an average guy.
A guy who hits 300, Joe. A guy who hits 300 can sustain a slump. A guy who hits 240 now gets into a slump. He's destroyed. So even though he can hit home runs, and you see, is he going to take the next step and bring up his average, or is he going to be the guy that's going to hit the slump during a long season and say, what am I doing wrong? And he's going to go downhill. I don't know. He's a good sleeper.
The one number that
Joe.
100%. The one number that does jump out to me, Ross, is not last year, okay, but the year before. He played the 80 games, so he played a half season. I think he did get called up around the All-Star game, okay, is 274 at bats, 180 strikeouts. 180 strikeouts. That's a lot of strikeouts.
Yes,
that's almost
exactly
striking out. That's a lot.
Well,
that's a lot of strikeouts to overcome, man. But I still, again, I think that we're talking about sleepers. We're talking about people who we think that could fly under the radar a little bit. For me, in this lineup, there's not many sleepers. I'm gonna, by default, almost you're looking at either Austin Riley, Dansby Swanson, or Christian Pash, who's projected to be the starting center field for the Braves this year. But for me, like I said, I like Riley. I think their pitching is great. We don't know when we're going to see Cole Hamels again. We don't know if we're going to see Soroka or when we're going to see those guys. But, when you add a Charlie Morton to a Max Fried, an Ian Anderson, a Josh Tomlin, these guys can wheel, and they have a great, great bullpen. Led by Will Smith, AJ Minter, Luke Jackson. You have guys there that, are solid bullpen guys.
I think they have the best bullpen. I think they have the best bullpen in baseball, if not one of the best bullpens in baseball. And their pitching is really solid.
Yeah, no, for me, a weird sleeper, not to say weird, but someone that I could target late to kind of fill my pitching. I'll be honest with you, I'm looking at AJ Minter. Will Smith, I feel as though he's solid, but I don't know if I trust him. AJ Minter is someone that I'm really targeting this year, just because he's going to get you those holds. He's going to keep your WHIP super low. He's going to keep your ERA low, and I think that he might be a sneaky contender to slide into that closer role for the Braves at some point this year, and then it's all gravy from there.
Not if Will Smith is producing, which I think he is going to produce. I think Will Smith can be really good. The guy that I'm looking at in Atlanta that I think is overpriced, Joe, is Swanson. I like Swanson. I think he's a solid shortstop. I just don't think he's a top tier shortstop. Everyone has him. He's in a great lineup. He's done this. He's done that. Me personally, I don't classify Swanson as a top tier guy. If anything, maybe bottom, second tier, somewhere there at best. I mean, I just don't. He has capability of being great, but I just think he's overpriced and he's going way too soon right now.
I could see that. I mean, we're going to get into shortstops on Monday. I have Swanson in my top 10. I'll tell you what it is. I have Swanson in my top 10. I think it's just more so for the reason, like you said. I mean, I'm going to use the same exact reasons why you feel he shouldn't be. I'm using it for why he is. I just feel that, again, he's in a solid lineup, and I feel that, he has progressed every year. So I feel that he might be somebody who's going to take another step. Again, you have a lot of guys for and against with last year, their production. We don't know who's real from last year versus who's not real from last year. Again, I keep going back to the same guy. For me, I think Trevor Bauer is the world's biggest bust this year. I don't care that he plays on the Dodgers. He is the world's biggest bust this year, and I think that him and Rachel Luba robbed the Dodgers because he is nowhere near worth that money. And when we get into pitchers, I have a full PowerPoint on Trevor Bauer.
But Joe, has Bauer ever pitched good on Cleveland? Has he?
Once.
Has Bauer ever pitched good on Cleveland?
One time. Uno.
No. More than one time.
That's it. One time. No. Ross, I'm going to pull up the numbers. The numbers don't lie.
A couple of fingers up.
I'm going to pull them up right now. I don't even want to do it because I don't want. He is not a solid pitcher, Ross. He's the furthest thing from a solid pitcher.
The guy is a 200 strikeout pitcher. How is he? Ross, how can he suck?
He is awful. Awful.
Okay, maybe you're saying he's not going to be top 10. Is that what you're saying, or you think he's going to fall out of the top 50?
Ross. I don't think he's good. Ross,
no, where do you put him? Top 50, top 100,
top 20, and he is in between that 10. Later. I think he's at minimum. He's 15. I think there's 15 is better in baseball than him.
10? But Joe, who's putting him top 10? No one's putting him top 10.
A lot of people. Of course, because they're basing it off of last year. Ross, the guy, he's a career 3.9 pitcher, and that's because of last year. This is his ERAs in succession from the minute he started.
I know his numbers.
5.2, 4.1, 4.5, 4.2. The guy's broken 3 twice in his career.
But he hit strikeout. But he's a strikeout pitcher.
Oh, Ross, but he destroys you on ERA.
Listen to me. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think he's a top 10 pitcher either. But you can't put him out top 20.
Nah, I might not even draft him. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up because my blood pressure, Ross has gotten my blood pressure up. Crazy Uso, I was just ranting about Trevor Bauer. Just wait until the starting pitchers episode. I promise you don't want to miss that one. I promise you, because I'm going to go off on Trevor Bauer. For me, we're going to, Monday, Ross, we are going to move into the Centrals. We're going to head AL Central. Not really an impressive division. It's really not. It's, again, this is another division. Top 2 teams, and then a bunch of other teams that are just kind of mingling along.
Just because a team sucks, that doesn't mean that they don't have players for you to draft.
I know. That's why we're the fantasy show. We're the fantasy show. I know. We're gonna go into. We are gonna go into the AL Central, and we're gonna move over to probably the most loaded position in baseball this year. We're gonna attack shortstops. I'm gonna give a little spoiler, Ross. I'm gonna break Mets fans' hearts and tell you that Francisco Lindor is not my top ranked shortstop.
Well, he is a top ranked. He is a top ranked shortstop. If you don't have
top ranked shortstop,
top three.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I guess they're gonna have to find out on Monday. But for everyone here, at the fantasy scene, myself, my good friend Ross, we will see everybody Monday 6:00. By the way, Joe knows picks today. I get away easy because there's no basketball tonight, so I don't have to worry about tanking like I did on Monday. That was awful. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Literally, all three of them sucked. Now, Sabonis wasn't bad. Sabonis was solid. Gobert and Mikal Bridges were terrible. Anyway, stay tuned. The Smarsh and Scroll Show will be starting at 7 o'clock. Also, tomorrow, Billy Punch, The Bottom Line, 10 a.m. And probably our most anticipated debut, Ross. I know you're not too much into it, but, I'm a big wrestling fan. Jade Lowe, Sunday, 4 p.m., Wrestling with My Thoughts, a whole brand new show. He's going to be going through things. This guy's content is really, really good. I look forward to everyone. But, yeah, so Smarsh and Scroll Show next. Bottom Line, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. with Billy Punch, and we will be back Monday, 6 o'clock. Ross, enjoy your weekend, my friend. Till
Everyone
Monday.
enjoy your weekend.
And peace out, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Have a good one.